It's my ex-girlfriend.
Why am I signed in as Parker?
Okay, excellent. Apologies for being late. We reconvene to open session at 7:20 p.m. There's only one report out from closed session. We finished the public employee performance evaluation for the executive director, and the board voted on a full contract of 5% increase in her base rate going forward. So if the HR team can do the appropriate and do it retroactive at the beginning of the academic year. Okay, keep going. Let me do this flag salute. So, Trish, you want to do?
All right, let's stand and face the flag and put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here. Item number 6, community input on agendized items. The public may comment on items listed on the agenda, including a consent calendar, presentation, discussion, committee, and action items. Is there any community input on agendized items?
No, there's no agenda.
Excellent. We go to item number 7, items for consent. Item number 8, minutes from the regular meeting of the OPA Board of Directors, regular meeting on July 19, 2022. And item number B, personnel report as listed. Item number C, we do the other thing together, right? Item number C, the 2022-2023 master contract for special education services between OPA and eLuma. Item number D, 2022-2023 master contract for special education service between OPA and Speech and Language Development Center XLTC. Item number E, 2022-2023 master contract for special education service between OPA and Western Youth Services. Item number F, 2022-2023 master contract for special education service between OPA and Mardon. Item number G, 2022-23 program service agreement between OPA and Boys and Girls Club of Laguna Beach. And item number H, 2022-23 program service agreement between OPA and the YMCA. It is recommended that the Board of Directors approve consent items A through H. May I have a motion, please?
I'll move to approve A to H.
Thank you, Member Smith. Any second?
Second.
Thank you, Member Travis. Any comments or discussions from the board? Hearing none, we'll go through a roll call vote. Member Agarwal?
Aye.
Member Jackson? Aye. Member Cagoos, aye. Member Smith?
Aye.
And Member Travis.
Aye.
Okay, we go to item number 8, items for presentation, starting with, is this your first report, Mr. Wright?
It is my first one.
Welcome, school report on OPA SE. You're on that.
Thank you.
Ms. Brothers, you're up next.
Thank you all so much for having me live and in person for the first time. It is great to see you all in person for the first time. And it has been an amazing first week of school at Saddleback Valley. I'm honored to be the principal, or the chancellor, I should say, of Saddleback Valley, and getting to know the parents over these last few weeks has been great. And I will say we have some of the best kids I've ever been around. So to kind of start us off, welcome back. Welcome back to the start of the school year. Some of our fantastic staff out in front of school. Once again, as always, thank you to the Honor Society for decorating the school. They did our welcome back balloons in the front, and once again, it looks amazing. Thanks.
Is the clicker not working?
It does not appear to be clicking. All right, so we had our campus beautification leading up to the start of school. You can see some of our fantastic volunteers out here as we harvested our vegetables, painted trash cans, cleaned the blackboards, washed windows, built furniture, you name it, to get ready for the start of school. And it was great having so many parents and kids out to help support and get us ready, including our two esteemed guests there on the right, helping us out and putting in some sweat equity into our school. That was a week before school started. Then the next slide will show that next week. There we go, meet your professor. I'm not gonna lie, this is the greatest meet your professor event I've ever been to in my entire life. Obviously, it's the first one I've ever been to. But obviously, for me, being able to see families, see kids on campus for the first time, see kids running onto campus, not only excited to see their new teachers, but also really excited to to come back and see their old teachers, which really showed me as somebody new, how much support and how much love our professors give to our students, right? The fact that students are coming back and not only are excited to get their swag from their new professors and find out who their new university is, but so many going back to give hugs and ask how the summer was to their old professors. Obviously, we had YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, our amazing Honor Society were there, ASB and TAL were all very supportive in this. So we thank them for a great evening leading into the school year. So as we get ready for the school, we've had some updates. One big thing when you walk in is you see some updated carpet in some of our classrooms. I know it seems like something small, but when you walk in and it's kind of got that new carpet smell, right? Like it smells new, it smells fresh, like there's just something that gets you mentally prepared for it. And it looks great, it's functional, the kids are able to move their desks. New giant TVs in the classroom. So, even as somebody at my age being able to go in and I can see from all around the room, everything on the TV screen. So really good for our kids to be able to see everything the teachers projecting and everything that they're doing. and obviously new furniture. And I'm gonna show you a picture of some of the new furniture, right? Like really getting us into that 21st century classroom mode and our kids into the right mindset as they walk into class for the first time in the school year. So here's some of our new furniture, our new teacher furniture. That was totally a natural picture. There was not staged at all. Yeah. Some sit and stand desks in our steam room. So very great. It's great for kids. Kids can stand, kids can sit, be able to interact with all the STEAM curriculum that they have. If you notice that the half moon desk over there, or the crescent desk, these little wobble chairs. I'll be honest with you, every time I'm in that classroom, those are the chairs that I pick because I can kind of wobble, but still pay attention. So for our kids that have a little bit of the wiggles, they're great seats for them to be able to like sit down, get some of those wiggles out. And the teachers will love them, and obviously they look great. You can see that brand new carpeting in that upper right hand shot there too, looking really nice. Oh, wait. And now we're back in class, right? Why do we do this? Because we love seeing kids in class. We love seeing kids excited. And this is what we have right from the beginning, right? We've been in school for 6 school days. So let's take 7 school days. Some of us. And so seeing kids excited to be back in there and really, honing in on what we do as OPA. And like I said, for me as the new chancellor, to be able to see some of those traditions, to see what we do are, for me, amazing, right? We really can see what sets OPA apart from regular schools. So some of these open traditions, some of the things that we know and do. So a couple little videos for you all. We can click on that play button. There we go. The kids all know the best, right? So they get to that chorus part, they're standing, they're yelling, they're screaming. We go to the next slide. Right, and as a Cal Poly guy, it really pains me to have to film UC Davis, but I kind of got over it. So, obviously our university chants and fight songs. I must admit that this is pretty decent. Obviously, we know the favorite part of this song for all the kids. They get to slam the desk, right? But we know they're into it. We know they like it because they're participating in it. And then we got one more that really shows some of these great traditions at OPA. Here we go, our OPA fight song, right? Last and most certainly not least. You can tell all the students know exactly what the fight song is. Go back and watch those first graders learn it and they sing it all outside. Right. So the amazing things that happen on this campus so quick in and to show that traditions of OPA are alive and well at SV and it's great to see and kids are into it and teachers are into it too. You can see the excitement from the teachers because we'll be honest, if the teachers aren't excited to do it, the kids aren't buying it either. And if the kids are into it, we know the teachers are into it. Next slide. And finally, what really brought me to OPA was the idea of us having these global citizens, right? Our students learning Mandarin, our students learning Spanish. And so this next slide is really watching our students become those global citizens and learning other languages. And how do they learn it? In kinesthetic ways, right? Ways that we all learn language. So our kids are becoming global learners.
She's such a fun teacher.
And once again, our students immersed in the learning, working with their teachers and not only learning, but having fun while learning. And that is the key, because if you're having fun while learning, you're most definitely learning and retaining. So good, we'll watch it again. And finally, some things coming up at OPA. We've got our beginning of year expectations assemblies. We'll be going through classrooms starting tomorrow and into early next week. Usually we do a larger assembly, but today got set up in our honor hall for our book fair. So book fair preview starts tomorrow. Teachers will be bringing students tomorrow and Monday to preview. And then it will be open all next week, and it'll be open during university orientation. Next week, we'll also have our first safety drills. So getting into the start of the year, getting all the fun things going and bringing, I'm most excited to bring parents onto campus for our university orientation, to meet teachers, to hear about what's happening in the classrooms, and obviously attend the book fair and support. So any questions for me?
Good job, welcome. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Any questions from the board? A comment? Okay, thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Unlike Adam, no matter how big the TV is, I can for my glasses and I didn't have them. So if I sneak up behind you, I apologize. Will you, Jonathan, please switch over?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, I'll try. Welcome everybody. Thank you. Like Adam said, thank you so much for having me. This is my first official time presenting at a board meeting. So I am thrilled to be able to share everything that we've been doing at SOC. We have hit the ground running, to say the least, from I think Meet Your Professor and on. So maybe. Okay, this is what I can't see. I know David Bartley is going to be going through quite a bit of these, but SOC has undergone a complete makeover in a very, very short amount of time. So this was just a photo I snapped actually just today. So you can see the new turf has been installed. We have our logo. Capo did an amazing job working with us, kind of replacing the siding on the front of the school. But just to highlight a few of the things that we've done, all of the front landscaping has been installed. We have new signage throughout campus, our new logos. We have our new asphalt that was in the front parking lot. We got rid of some bulky containers that were an eyesore right at the front of campus as parents drove into the parking lot. So those are gone. We have new gates and fencing that are around the school that the kids said were the best thing ever, because in the kinder playground, the balls can no longer fly over the wall. So they were so thrilled. I was like, if that's, I couldn't be more proud. We have plenty of new tables, umbrellas to provide more shade for the kiddos, additional outdoor seating. We have our new OPA Innovator classrooms that are up and running. Our new media center furniture came in, and then the turf was just finally finished in the kinder playground as well. So now they're able to have a space out there to kind of play soccer, run, and we also put some tables there as well. So, and the big highlight, we were able to open our ball wall and sandbox today for the kids that we installed at the back. So very exciting. These are, like Adam said, some of our highlights from Meet Your Professor. And like Adam, this was my 11th Meet Your Professor. And I can say that being at OPA, it actually was our highest attended Meet Your Professor event to date. So just the kids were excited, the parents were excited, the teachers were excited. It was just a wonderful 2 hours out there. But the kids just loved being on campus. And even parents were coming up to me, they were able to see kind of all the construction that was going on, and they just said, this is phenomenal, even though it was definitely a work in progress. But they like
Hold on.
Well, why do we have to live?
to be able to see what was going on. Yes, my mouse or my clicker works too, Jonathan, I don't know if it's working. Yep. So we also had our campus beautification event at Meet Your Professor. We had our ASB students. They created a flyer to publicize this event to hopefully increase our attendance. I think last year we had about 12 people who showed up to our campus beautification. This year we had over 50 that cycled in throughout the day. So we had a huge heavy lift that day. We had to install 2 gardens, one for our primary kids, one for our upper grade students as well, building fences. If anybody, I know there were a few of you there, walked into our honor hall with only like 5 days before school started, it was floor to ceiling with boxes of furniture that we weren't expecting to be delivered, but they were. And so we just had amazing support, parents, staff, everybody showed up to help build that furniture indoor and outdoor. So we had a wonderful day with that. So our first day of school, similar to SB, just a lot of smiling faces. Honor Society was there the night before, did our balloon arch. We also stuck with our OPA tradition, being able to partner with Surf and Donuts, which we have a student who goes to South Orange, to our SOC campus. Their parents actually own Surf and Donuts. So we're able to still have our tradition of teal donuts in the morning. So some of our students, you can see, visited there. We had a little photo op in the beginning of the day, which was great for parents as they were having to kind of drop their kids off and say goodbye at the front of the campus. But I felt like they got their photo op that they desperately had missed over the last couple of years. And then one of the things that we did this year was I had our first chancellor chat that morning, right at 9 o'clock. Parents were able to go grab coffee and then come back to campus and actually join us for our chancellor chat. So we talked about just kind of what's been going on for the campus, you know, all the different curriculum that we've adopted over the years and just kind of our plans for taking SOC to the next level. So we had a phenomenal turnout and I got a lot of amazing feedback, and we were also able to introduce our Honor Society members to our families as well. So these are just some of the things that have been going on in classrooms throughout just the school. You can kind of see bottom left, one of our OPA Innovator classrooms with the teal wall. So there's some new furniture there. Just centers were going on in the TK classroom. Far right is going to be our 5th grade students. Were actually doing a review lesson on just finding the perimeter of different polygons and shapes and everything. So a lot of learning taking place right off the bat. I always tell our professors, spend those first 3 days of that first week of school really making sure you get your routines and your procedures down, because once you have that in place, you can start teaching the next week. And so I was really happy as Mrs. Merlette and I were walking through classrooms to be able to see a lot of instruction and learning taking place, kids out of their seat, up on the board. And the best thing about this is each student was finding or found a different way to solve the problem and then was able to share out with their classmates. So everybody can see you can always arrive at the answer, just sometimes in different ways. So we, like Adam said, have a lot of OPA traditions in action. So quick little video, if it'll play, Jonathan, hopefully. It was giving us trouble earlier, so. So you guys have heard the fight song, but what we are trying out this year is really trying to bring a lot of continuity to our campus. And so our students are able to play before school starts. When they arrive at 8:10, at 8:25, they line up on the blacktop by their professor, middle school included. And then at about 8:27 or so, we're actually playing the OPA fight song as an entire school out on that blacktop. It's something we've never done before, but the kids are absolutely loving it. And we also do the flag salute out there as well. And then you can see Mrs. Herbold, I was able to snap a quick picture before I ran off with her. Even the littlest of the little, she was trying to teach them their Cal Berkeley chant. So that was taking place. And then you can see our ASB members are really the ones who are leading that morning flag salute. and setting up the music and everything before school starts. So it's going really well so far. Those videos like to play more than once. Mrs. Roulette and I led our expectations assemblies for our students last week. So on Friday, we were able to bring different grade level bands into Honor Hall, which we have Honor Hall back, is actually Honor Hall this year, and review our champ expectations. So at SOC, we want our students to be compassionate, honest, accountable, mindful, and prepared. So every area on campus, we have different expectations for them that really encompass those 5 attributes. So you can see the kiddos came in, Mrs. Merlette did a wonderful job of leading them through the presentation, just talking about what we expect out of them when they're on the blacktop, when they're in the classroom and they're transitioning through our hallways. So it was really fun to see all of them come in, and their first assembly on day 3 went really well. And then this was brand new. This was something that I wanted to do for years, and unfortunately the pandemic kind of stopped us. So I was so excited. We did our first week of welcome, or WOW week, at SOC. So it's taken place this week. On Monday, we started with our first ASB assembly of the school year. So you can kind of see the left hand pictures are ASB students presenting. They talk about the different PBIS focus of the month, the gate icon of the month, the character trait of the month. And then they always do some type of game or competition based around students who are properly dressed or are on their best behavior. So that we were able to encompass all kids who can participate. This one was the cheese ball stuck to shaving cream on the top of their head. The kids loved it. They did so well with it, which is really surprising on, just day 4 of school. And then we have so many middle schoolers on our campus. So we actually moved them outside to our new kind of stage area. We didn't put up the stage, but we do have an outdoor stage that we can utilize, and ASB was able to do their same assembly outside for middle school students. And then on Tuesday, ASB organized a lunchtime activity where students were able to add words to a poster that describe OPA. So they were saying fun. A lot of kids said, with the best teachers, engaging. We had a lot of words like that come up, which was really fun for them to kind of show what they love about our school, even so early. And we had a lot of new students participate, after only being on campus for 4 days. And so that was nice to be able to talk to them too about what, has really made them feel special in their first week here. So that led us into Thursday. So we had Club Rush. This was only an event to get the kids excited about the different club opportunities we're going to have on campus. We are going to push out an actual sign up to parents later next week or in one of our Sunday scoops. But the kids were able to come into Honor Hall. We had flyers set up, so they were just able to see the different club offerings. And then today we had a big buddy and little buddy activity. We partnered with PAL to go ahead and lead this activity. So every single student was out on the field this morning for only 20 minutes. They did a little get to know you activity. And then some of the little ones were able to bring books out, and the kids were able to sit and read books with each other. So we're going to continue. PAL is going to kind of take the lead on our Big and Little Buddy program that we have. And every month they'll be planning an event that everybody will be able to participate in. So upcoming events that are happening at SOC. So we are ending our WOW week with the BMX freestylers. So we reached out to Honor Society right before school started. We have had the BMX freestylers on our campus before. They do a wonderful job of really, their assembly focuses on just hard work and kindness, and so we're bringing them back tomorrow. So we're really excited, and all of our TK through 8th grade champions are going to be able to attend the assembly. We have a fire drill coming up. We have Honor Society bingo night. Our first family fun night is tomorrow night. And then of course, the usual happenings around here, university orientation, Honor Society meetings, things like that. So a lot of fun things coming up. But we definitely, like I said, hit the ground running at SOC. That was it. Any questions? It's been busy.
So is the little buddies, big buddies, is that
fifth grade and younger, or is that eighth grade and?
Yeah, so kind of depending on, Mrs. Romy did a wonderful job of pairing them up, so it worked out really wonderfully that fifth through eighth ended up being big buddies. It all just depended on the numbers. And then K through 4 were able to be littles, and then we had, I actually think fourth, part of them were big buddies too, depending on our numbers. So, and then some of the ones who didn't want to be a little buddy in fourth grade, we were able to pair up with, so they could be a big buddy, so.
I think moving forward, as we think about the middle school, you're gonna lose access to the older kids, so the fifth graders can become big buddies now, right?
Yeah.
So as you guys are doing it this year, if hopefully we get the middle school approved, then you're also thinking, what do we do?
We actually, in the past 1 year, I taught third grade and my third graders were big buddies.
Excellent.
So, you know, they can do it, and you actually see even the littles down to second grade can actually be big buddies as well. I think it kind of gives them a sense of maturity and ownership too. So it's definitely not something we're going to lose if our middle school gets approved. It's something we're going to continue with. And we also have different club opportunities, even though we won't have an actual ASB and PAL program. We this year are doing a student leadership team to kind of start bringing in those kids in fourth and fifth grade. So next year, when those kids move off campus, I still have student leaders on campus.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
And then the assembly also is a great idea, I think, and so if you guys don't do it, consider, because I think assembly is a place where everybody gets to see the entire school. When my son used to go to Puttle Elementary, they used to sing, you know, just like, I guess if I've never heard the OPA fight, so shame on me. But the Puttle song I knew before, and they used to
singing for you.
Not agendized, sorry, you can't sing.
Just don't take action. It's like restart.
We're gonna open our.
Thank you.
Question and request
Yeah.
for both chancellors, actually.
Yeah.
Are the chancellor chat times, do they alternate for working parents, or are they always like at 9 in the morning?
We've always done them at 9 in the morning, but we're trying it out with Honor Society this year, having some in the morning and some in the evenings. So that way we can kind of we're gonna see with Honor Society how many people we can get to show up.
Sure.
One of the things I think we had decided at SOC, I'm sure SB is gonna be the same, to either record or also be able to be on Zoom. So that way those working parents too can be on Zoom. I know I've missed a lot with my own kid back in the years because I was a working parent. So I definitely get that. So I had actually sent out a message to our families. It was just kind of a recap of the first day of school and actually attached my presentation to it. So they were still, if they weren't able to make it, they still had access to everything we went over.
Awesome, thank you. And then the request was if we can reincorporate live student into the presentations now that we're back from summer, we love that. And I think it's a great opportunity for them. So the videos are great, but when they're present, it's that's lovely.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And actually, I want to go off of that. When I was in Honor Society, we tried to do some night meetings and no one showed up.
Okay.
So maybe what it is that we do a Zoom when we do night, because then we can be at the soccer field or wherever and still participate.
Or even for me, I know as my schedule, like 9 is out prime time for meetings, but afternoons can be a little bit lighter. So even just alternating, even if it's still within the day.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you.
It's gonna be a hard act to follow, that's for sure. I'll go ahead and start with our curriculum and instruction updates. So tell me the trick about there we go. So we also had a wow week or a week of welcome. This was what we called our week of welcome for our new staff and our current staff to join us. So we started on Wednesday, August 10th with a new staff, new professor orientation. We focused on community building OPA culture. Our professors created a video, what makes OPA OPA, about all the traditions, the OPA language, the curriculum, all the things. And then they had a game for our new staff to see if everything that they learned, we had nuts and bolts, a tech talk and Q&A. And that brought us into our full all staff returning. We had our all staff welcome in the honor hall. We had an executive director welcome, community building again. We focused on our nuts and bolts, but this time, instead of having everyone sit for 3 hours, we rotated, we had small groups. It was fantastic. And then we started right off the bat with our trainer of trainers presenting on thinking maps. And they've led 3, or actually it was 4 different trainings that our staff could choose from. And if you look, you can see those are the pictures from there. I could not have been prouder. Honestly, we just started the trainer of trainers. That's new to OPA. And they just knocked it out of the park. It was so fantastic. I was almost in tears. It was great. Then meet your professor. We had 2 half-day professional learning days following. Really, we wanted to do a check-in again with our new staff, making sure they were good, had what they need. We did a deeper dive with some of our focus areas of MTSS, PBIS, and social emotional learning strategies. And then our second half day was we really let them do a lot of grade level planning and focused on alignment. All of our grade levels between both schools did scope and sequence. They learned about how to integrate the new capstone, which is part of our champion profile and the work of the academic outcomes committee. You can also see our logo for our professional learning and for the year that Dr. Kernan created, educating, innovating, and growing together as we're looking at expansion. Okay, oh, I went too far. All right, the goals of our week of welcome were really to create a welcoming atmosphere. We wanted to model engaging activities. We wanted also to model instructional technology so that our professors had ideas that they could use in the classroom. David Barley and Eva in their nuts and bolts utilized some educational technology games. So I was really proud at all of us for really trying to make it more than a sit and get. We wanted to reinforce our priorities of alignment, thinking map implementation, focus on special populations, understanding, keeping our OPA sparkle. You can see our OPA sparkle there. And then we also wanted to honor our professors. And so we integrated over 16 hours of planning time in the days. We had a little photo booth. You can see there some of us taking pictures, but here are some pictures of our staff. We have our tech guys, our IT team in the corner. You've got some of the professors from SOC, SV, our intervention teachers, our EL team, a better one of John and Adam there as well. But you know, everyone really enjoyed the photo booth. It was a great addition, but there was someone that really and even dressed to match the centerpieces. So I wanted to include that there. John's jumping right in. People were wondering why he was matching. So for the first day of school, it was a great day. We actually walked every classroom, went to both sites and went inside every single classroom. There was a lot of focus on how students were feeling the first day. You can see one of our TKers there. A lot of different activities, culture building, check-ins with the students. Quickly, this week, we're doing an 8-week rollout for thinking maps, reviewing 1 map a week. So this week we started with the circle maps, and you can see them from the first day of school and all over the campuses, so that we make sure that we are not forgetting, we are still integrating what we learned last year, and they will be the foundation of our new writing program, which is coming up. Next week will be bubble maps. We're going, and then our trainer of trainers are sending out communications on the maps and ideas. Professional learning coming up. Again, we're going to focus on thinking maps. We have a new writing curriculum right from the beginning, and this year we will implement the narrative writing portion of that. We're continuing to focus on the MIs, multiple intelligences and GATE strategies, MTSS, PBIS, and social emotional learning strategies. We are fully implementing our middle school social science curriculum, so that's a focus area. And then really the theme is alignment, looking at both of our schools, making sure that we're aligning and we're pacing, and that all OPA students, they come here for the OPA brand, and that we're able to provide equitable education and experiences for all. Here's a few highlights for the multiple intelligences. Our champions are taking their multiple intelligence assessments at this time so they can learn about their own strengths and those of their classmates, and also the teachers can use that to differentiate learning. We had a neat lesson that was shared from our history, social studies middle school teachers, where the professors put many pictures with quotes around the room. And then the champions, our students, had to kind of derive a common message or meaning about why it is important for us to study history. And then they use their MIs to share their learning. You can also see there the circle map, also about what does it mean to be interpersonal. And then also we had some bodily kinesthetic lessons in math. You can see there. All right. Thank you. I don't know. I also wanted to share a little bit about parent involvement. You heard from both of our chancellors. There really is a focus about bringing parent involvement back, making sure that we are welcoming everyone back into the fold. So at Meet Your Professor, we had 4 parent presentations, 2 at SV, and then Executive Director Dr. Kanan drove really fast over to SOC, and we had 2 more, but safely. And we talked a little bit about OPA. What does it mean? Who are we? Our champion profile, our new capstone project. We talked about a tiered parent participation opportunities. You can see opportunities for all families, those that are more targeted. And then we introduced a little bit about our parent ambassador program and how our families can go through the clearance process to become volunteers. Our next steps is we will have a parent volunteer meeting for clearance. We're going to roll out our parent ambassador program in September. We're going to assign room parents. And then even tomorrow, our professors are meeting in focus groups, and we will have a parent involvement focus group meeting and doing a lot of planning tomorrow. And that's all I have. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions or comments for Dr. Henry?
Thank
Actually,
you.
I have 2, if you don't mind.
Oh, of course.
Well, he lured you in like.
It was almost enough.
These are easy ones. Easy ones. One is, I think, I've said this before, I think the level of professional development that we are offering to our teachers right now is really impressive. I still think you should communicate that more to our parents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, again, we don't want the parents to say minimum days when teachers go and chill out, but you're actually going and studying, there's pictures of you studying. And so to the extent that you guys can publicize, I mean, some of these are super innovative, like, vertical alignment and all the other alphabet soup that you showed. So I think it'd be really, I think you do yourself a great service to publicize that more, both from the chancellors, but also from you or Dr. Kanan.
Absolutely.
And number 2 is, as you're trying to bring more parents onto campus, one of the things that I'm curious about is how much of a burden it is for parents to get the volunteer certification, all the live scan and fingerprinting and all of that stuff. And because I've seen a few emails come through about pleading, unnecessarily pleading for volunteers. And I'm wondering if it's because people feel that they have to go through this onerous process. I don't think it's very onerous. I have not done it yet, but I would love to. But I wonder if there is a way to consolidate it by bringing some of these things to like a time during Chancellor Chell. Something say, okay, parents, whoever's interested, come over. You can pay them directly. You don't have to fund it if you don't want to fund it, but here's a common place. You can come here, get everything done, and you'll get certified. So something to consider for you guys, particularly if that is a problem you guys are noticing to increase parental involvement.
It is a little cumbersome, but there will be a meeting. We talked as a team with the chancellors about having it during university orientation, but we felt that was a little bit too much. So we're going to do it shortly after university orientation, have a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
All the information is on the website. I also shared that with our parent involvement group. So this is what you can get started with and broke it down a little bit. But what we can do, what we are planning to do is having another meeting where it's only focused on the clearance process and not all of the other pieces.
And maybe even Honor Society can consider, doing some of the, I don't know how hard it is to do like a live scan intake in campus. Again, I don't know if that's a problem, if that's the reason why parents are not coming to campus, but if it is, if we can make it, because I think more parental involvement is going to make our life easier because you will have more parents with more hands in the school. So if.
And we have been getting a huge number of parents that
Oh,
are
okay.
getting cleared already, that
Okay,
are
good.
bringing it into the office. It's gone up just in the last
Okay,
week.
that's
We've
good.
gotten the
That's
time
good to
into
know.
our doing
I
their
think
clearance,
it's
so I
a
think it,
rollout that we're
yeah.
doing.
It takes time, okay.
yeah.
So I have a question, and I think I've brought this up to you guys before, so you can just, for everyone, so there was a time in our past when we had a certain required, every family had so many hours. Are we gonna put any words around, we really need you, and we could really use this amount of help from you? Is there anything that prevents us from saying, hey, we really need you for like 10 hours a year, 20 hours a year, like what, just for everyone to, yeah.
Commitment or suggestion?
Yeah.
Like
It
suggestion.
has to be more of it has to be very point blank. And
Right.
it can't be a commitment. And I think.
And that's what kind of led us to coming into OPA, and having seen this work in my previous district, was an incentive program of a parent ambassador program. And pretty much as soon as I started learning the culture here, I thought, well, this will work really well with the OPA culture, incentivizing parent engagement, which includes because we will be requiring different types of activities. We're also helping to educate our parents in different areas, like the LCAP and strategic planning, school site council. So we're going to have hopefully a cadre of parents who are parent ambassadors who have put in a certain amount of hours in different tiered activities, can speak to those, but also can help represent the parent population at OPA at different events. When I shared it at the parent involvement meetings at Meet Your Professor, I said, I showed what you can kind of see a little bit on the mini slide, but what that was going to look like, what the incentives could be. Again, the big rollouts in September, because we have a lot going on to do everything at the same time, but the big rollout of that will be in September. And then the thought is that our parents can actually help educate other parents, like, hi, I'm an OPA parent ambassador. Can I help to show you around? Or would you like to learn more about this or that? So that is part of it, but we want to welcome all of our families to participate in the way that they can. And I think that was very clear in those parent involvement meetings, that here are opportunities for all parents to get involved to the extent that you can. And that was that first year. And then there are more targeted opportunities to get involved, which have to do with maybe it's your time that you're able to give, or also your student, your champion and their needs. So there are a lot of different targeted opportunities.
So there's no hours that we could really use your help. We're never gonna say that.
We could always say we need,
We
need their help.
So that's why,
Well,
me
and
personally, I would like to hear families, we could really use your help for 10 hours a year or 20 hours a
sure,
year.
yeah.
We really need
Level
you.
of commitment from the parents.
we can say that.
And to me, it's motivating to them to know exactly what we would like.
Mhm.
To me, it makes it very clear, like, hey, here's a donation for whatever, but we really need you to donate hours. Like, that would be great. Like some numbers would be great.
Because this is a school of choice. I mean, the reality is you want them to choose to come here. Part of choosing to come here is you want your parents engaged in the program.
Yes.
Well, it is a very important part of our charter, and that was also shared in the parent involvement meetings, that having families involved is what makes us who we are.
Yes.
Don't we have a plan and academic outcomes committee to also evaluate and think about this a little deeper? In terms of connecting parent engagement to academic outcomes and laying on that level of importance from that angle. So,
So I know that was in our plans
Yeah.
for the Academic Outcomes Committee this year. Last year, our committee did a really good job and built our champion profile and then started with the capstone development. This year, when we met earlier, we were talking about capstone implementation, which I hope you kind of saw that a little bit, that we started that work already in our slides with our professors and also shared that at our parent involvement about the capstone project. And then we talked about a tiered parent engagement of really how can you support your child and how that connects to academic outcomes.
What was the feedback on Capstone? What did the teachers think? Were they on board? Were they opposed? Were they?
Absolutely. The way that we shared it was that they are very familiar now with the champion profile. And then the question becomes, how do we know? How do we know that our students are critical thinkers? How do we know that they're collaborating? And we know that a summative test score doesn't really measure those skills. And so really coming up with the capstone project in a way that really didn't put an extra burden on them. Excuse me, I need to grab my water, I think, but thank you, Dr. Van. But in a way where they can showcase and reflect on what they already learned.
Using assignments that they'd already doing in their classes, so not adding additional assignments, but most of our teachers, or all of our teachers, do things that kind of meet those capstone competencies or the champion profile competencies. So really it's just more kind of putting it on the students to pick out those projects that really kind of hit them that were already done in the class and then do some reflection on it. So we want to kind of make sure that everyone knows that it's not that students are creating something specifically for the capstone. They should be using things that they're already doing in their class to represent those different competencies. So it's not
and we gave it
an extra assignment for the teacher. It might be something, a thinking map that they did at the beginning of the year that, you know, that they were able to use their multiple intelligences to critical think or something. It should be things that the teachers are already doing in their classroom.
So the rollout is going to be first trimester that our professors get our champions used to the champion profile. We really haven't rolled it out to students yet. So that's first trimester. Second trimester, they'll pick their first piece of evidence for their capstone. Second trimester, their second.
So what happens to 8th graders or 7th graders? So I mean, it's gonna be great for kindergarten through, but then we have years.
We
that
did
we're
have
not
it.
missing, right?
We have 8th graders pilot the reflection sheet even at the end of the year, and they found it meaningful. So this year, our 8th graders will have 2 trimesters of projects, and they will be the first ones to do the showcase with their capstone
So I'm not
project.
expecting them to go back.
No, they're not gonna go back to kindergarten.
I know.
That they did back in
I
kindergarten.
just
So
wanna
each
know what-
year it'll go back a little bit further. So
Yeah.
7th graders will have that extra year by the time they get to 8th grade, and then our current kindergartners will have all 9 years.
So if somebody
9
comes
years
in the
from
8th grade, they don't need to worry about
Yeah.
it. They
Yeah, they're not
got
going
it.
further back. But everybody will have something.
But Henry's using multiple intelligences on parents too, so that's what.
There we go. Absolutely.
Any other comments?
I had a couple questions. The parent engagement sessions that you've done, I would love to see those come up as videos so that parents can watch them in their leisure. And then I love that you're gonna have a meeting about the clearance videos. I would love to either see a video done or have it as a Zoom meeting. Because again, I think you're gonna have this barrier where you have working parents that it's not easy for them.
I do believe that our chancellors are going to do that meeting of the clearance process. It was something that they owned from the past, and so we were talking about, I'm not trying to completely take over all the meetings for them, right? So that they were going to own them.
I think now that we have
We'll do it collaboratively.
capabilities, then it's easy for us to kind of Zoom the different meetings. And I think that just from COVID, it really helped to increase the number of parents who were able to attend meetings via Zoom. So I think kind of continuing that like we do for our board meetings, Zooming them and just kind of continue that with our meetings. Even if you can't be there or you don't you weren't able to like kind of actively participate, at least you can watch them, you can listen in, you can watch it later.
We'll
You're
watch it
not-
later. I
If you're
mean,
not able to,
yeah.
if you're not able to come, you can get on the Zoom at that time, or later on, you can get on and
Right.
watch things.
Great.
Yeah, we all learned that capability during COVID, might as well use it.
Yeah, exactly.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Thank you. So Blythe's gonna come and tell us how he's gonna fix the cell phone connections and SOC connections.
Thank you.
Leading the witness.
I've been trying for 1.5 years, so he's not fighting.
Well, maybe now that you're president. You have a little bit more of a.
All right, well, I'm really excited to be here tonight because it's been 2 months I've been waiting for this meeting to happen. Okay, a busy 2 months. So first, we're going to talk about food service. So the board approved at our recommendation Fresh Start as our new food service company. Big transition, okay, as you would imagine, but a great transition. So I'm going to tell you about what's been happening in the first 7 days. Okay, so we have. Start on the first day of school, participation is through the roof, okay? And I'm thrilled because it's the quality of the food, okay?
Yes.
So I knew you would like this, okay?
They had wings.
Yeah.
Meatballs.
Couple examples, I will tell you, one teacher told me yesterday, said, my student came back to class and said we had wings and he had barbecue sauce all over his face. And then another one, the meatballs were hit today. I know Mr. Wright, and another teacher said meatballs were really good. So we are at universal availability this year. We started breakfast for the first time. I've served lunch or breakfast 4 out of the 7 days and been there observing, making sure it's going well. Let's see, it's just been phenomenal to watch. So it's going to continue to grow. What we're having now is a demand. Okay, we can't supply. So we're always going back to the vendor saying, hey, we need 150 meals at SV on Monday and 130 at SOC on Monday, based on our, what we're anticipating. So it's going to keep going up. So it's a phenomenal change. We're super excited about it. We have 4 food service personnel on campuses, 2 OPA on our payroll and 2 Fresh Start servers. Food deliveries come throughout the week. And as with any transition, we have some growing pains. So we're building a relationship with the Fresh Start staff. Delivery times, sometimes a little bit late. We're trying to iron that out. We have some equipment that hasn't been installed yet. There was a grant that was available, which we applied for and we received, okay, for the state of California to upgrade equipment and kitchens. So
25,000 or something?
yes, 27. Yeah, 27. Good memory. Wow. Anyway, so we did receive the oven. We're waiting on freezer, some serving carts. We're waiting for those, but we're making do with what we have, thankfully. And then again, some hiccups. But we had to buy some pizza sometimes to augment because we don't have enough meals, which is again a good problem to have. So and they love having
And the
pizza.
kids don't mind.
So now the kids are trying to realize that if I go late, maybe I'll get the pizza, right? Okay. All right, next. Let's see. Here we go.
There you go.
Okay, sorry. All right, there we go. Campus improvements, you've heard a lot about this, but I wanted to just remind you all and our audience out there that here's how we approach things. We determine the design elements, what it was going to look like, right? The scope of the projects, how big. We source qualified vendor pools. We vetted the vendors, including vendor information packets that the board is aware of, W-9s, reviews, insurance, all those types of things. Then there are bids that we receive and negotiations to ensure we're getting good pricing and good quality for OPA. We make our vendor selections and then our purchases, if it's online or where we're going to purchase some of the materials from. We work on the timelines for work completion. And of course, we have the receipt of goods, furniture, installation. Mr. Bricole has been putting together desks whenever needed. So I want to do a shout out to him and so many on the staff. Quality checks, more quality checks, and then vendor payment. So that's just the basic how we do things. And then the next.
Can you talk about the first bullet just real quick?
Yeah.
Because I believe you mentioned me in one, give me a campus tour, you involved parents in some of the design.
did.
You want to talk about how you involve stakeholders?
Right, so what we did was we had informal focus groups to walk around the campuses. I think some in this room were involved actually, and others who were on the honor societies, okay, were involved as we walked around and looked at things. We also had staff involved. I know Ms. Velez last year walked around with us as well. And we walked also with the maintenance and custodial staff. So we had a good group of people at each campus just to, bat ideas around, think about what would be good for the students and what they'd enjoy.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Okay, and then the goal was for this phase, which is really the summer, was to increase the curb appeal. And you've seen some photos, I'll show you some photos too. The innovator classrooms on each campus, the capacity of vendors. Really, we got rid of, I think, probably 7 or 8 dumpsters, the big blue dumpsters full of just stuff that needed to go. And that was the first part of it, is you can't bring in new until you get rid of the old, right? So we started adding the furniture, as you've seen. We did partner with the honor societies, and actually the honor societies are offering to pay for parts of, okay? So at SB as an example, there's $5,000 for the 8th grade area and $20,000 for overall improvements. And we'll be presenting kind of a cafeteria list of things that they can choose to contribute to at their next meeting in September.
Nice.
Okay, so we're thrilled. Same thing with SOC, working closely with them to determine, budget and then how they like to be involved to support the school. So we love that partnership. I think we'll go to, so again, the goal here is if we have a great environment, then we'll support learning, right? So in the upper left, I'll point out a few things. We had 8 containers that were removed from the campuses, 6 from SV, that you all probably don't even remember anymore, but they were eyesores at SOC right in the front on the right. I couldn't stand those things. So they're gone now. You can see in the picture there. We painted the outside front of SV as well. You can see trees being taken down. We had about a dozen trees taken down at each total across the schools. Some of the photos went in a different direction, but you see the sit-stand desk on the left. We received a tip from Tina, Ms. Velez. Thank you. And she gave me a tip that there's a Goldman Sachs office going, division that was going out of business in Irvine. So I went down there one afternoon. I said, I'm leaving.
A little crazy.
Yeah. David went shopping.
Built the entire SB honor hall.
And there you see that. So you saw the training tables.
You asked them for permission, right?
Just rolled it up.
So the custodian, they helped with 1 truckload, and then we hired professional movers, and they were all good sports. I couldn't have done any of this. We as a team couldn't have done any of this without Alfonso and Fabian and Luis and Nathan and Oscar. Okay, they're great staff. Let's see, then we had dumpsters, you can see, and then there on the lower right is SV, a new turf area. So we'll go to the next set of pictures.
It's not turf there, but
Yeah, it will be.
It's turf now.
it became turf.
Upper left is pallets and pallets of furniture, okay, from School Outfitters that shows up. Some examples of the furniture. You heard already that, the honor hall was filled at SOC and everybody was putting together furniture.
And those little Adirondack chairs, they're small, but man.
How many
when
did you do?
the days
Yeah.
got-
How many people in this room were at the beautification days? All right, nice. Thank you, everybody, for your help. That's great. And then the outdoor landscaping, we had new irrigation put in. It's thriving pretty well, even with the hot weather. We lost a few plants, but we have an agreement with the installers that they'll help replace those. So that's good. You can see the little Adirondack chairs that the littles got in the kinder area. And then we redid the pavement. Let's do the next slide. Let's see. Okay, the outdoor paint, the dark blue at SV. The new 8th grade area, we put in some patio pavers and some new tables and chairs. You can see the front of SOC. Capo came just at the right time to replace, and they were continuing to replace wood on the building. We had large holes in the building, actually. On the upper right, that's the new ball wall and sandbox that there used to be ball walls at SOC, if you remember. Because our son played on those, and now we have a new ball wall. Okay.
Excellent.
Ms. Velez painstakingly did the welcome sign, okay, right there in the lower left. And then the Honor Society at SV did the great PBIS ball wall and hired the painter for that. And then you can see the lower right, the new fencing across the front of SOC. So really proud about that. And that's where the ball is no longer flying out in the parking lot, but also has that measure of security, the perception of security, which is so important. Okay. Just one or two more, we're done. Love the OPA logos. We found an artist who was really good at that, I feel like, and it just, as Dr. Kernan said, just get our name on there so it looks like we're permanent.
So we're not like renters or owners.
So then we have the 8th grade area at SV. We have Miss Bainey's classroom with the new carpet and furniture, okay, in the upper right. The lower right, as soon as the turf was put in, you saw the other slide before at SV, the students were there, the band members or the musicians are playing in the lower left. That was such a treat for me to see. And then Ms. Roney is demonstrating her new desk there. And then on the, you can see the turf is about ready to go in the playground area. It's now in as of today at SOC. So we're really happy about that. We'll go to the next slide. Oh, and the new gate also at SOC. So a swag at the financials. So these are the items on the left side, okay? The vendor that we chose to use on the right or in the middle, and then each respective site. So we'll just, you can see a lot of different decisions were made and all in our kind of related OPA colors for those things. About 22 market umbrellas at Costco when they were on sale.
You've never seen so many market umbrellas fit into a Prius.
Yeah.
Don't lie, babe. They'll fit into the Prius.
See, those are the kind of photos that you should show us.
I know, I don't like, why didn't you put the Prius?
I didn't want my wife to see that. All right, and then the next slide, we have the totals, just to give you an idea.
Yeah, I'll pay good money to see David roll out the chairs from Goldman Sachs office.
So again, great vendors, great partners, everybody stepped up to get it done according to our timeline. And we did ease a little bit in the school year, but we've gotten it done. And I think everybody's been very patient and worked around it because we see great results. So we were thrilled to do this. You can see the totals. So we're a little over $400,000 at this point. And for the next phase, well, let's go to the next one. We have these next items coming up. So meetings planned with school security vendors to develop really a comprehensive school site security plan. And we'll be reporting out to the board and learning more about that in the next upcoming meetings. Flow water bottle fillers are to be installed beginning next week. It's what we expect. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. The plan and timeline for the rotation to complete the classrooms. We learned a lot through this last 2 months. How long does it take to do it? Who are the good vendors? Who are the ones we want to enter into? It was a pilot, essentially. Who are the ones we want to enter into and bring to the board a longer term, bigger contract, okay? That we'll ask you to approve. And then who are some vendors that maybe we're going to keep looking, okay? And then we'll order the new furniture for the rest of the classrooms over time, probably starting with Dr. Kernan in November, December timeframe, probably.
Yeah, once we get all the pilot classroom furniture in, that'll all set up, then the rest of the teachers will be able to go into the different pilot rooms and pick out which furniture kind of works best for their classroom. So luckily we had different grade levels all the way up at both sites. So we have lots of different examples of things that the teachers can pick from, some things that work better than others, but that's why we do pilot classrooms, and we don't order everything at once. So.
All right, it would kill us if we ordered everything at once.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. Okay. Right, and then the last item, so important, if we have a third site, we want to get as much of this done on these two sites, the school improvements. So we'll be prepared for that, and we're doing the hustle right now. All right, next slide, let me see. Okay, so the water bottle fillers, we went with another company. We tried 2 additional companies, and we're having trouble with installation outside because we wanted filter and also refrigeration. So we moved away from those after having people come and measure and look and installers. And this seems to be the best option. This is used at RSM, okay, as well as at JSerra. So we're happy that it's used in this area. They have a way to get around kind of having them outside. We have some overhangs, and they may actually be enclosed in sheds in some areas if they're in full sun. So we're doing, again, I love pilots. So we're going to do, it's a 2-week trial, which leads to either a lease or buy. And Dr. Ken and I have looked at the options. We're probably going to be looking at a lease, okay, just to give a kind of a preview. And then this is going to be our new solution. It's taken longer than we expected. I'm sorry that we're not starting the year off with this, but we're at a point now where I think it's going to come to reality and to fruition. So what questions do you have?
Well, bravo.
Yes. You're welcome.
I will tell you, my children, when they walked around at Meet Your Professors, they're like, oh my gosh, like everywhere. They were just tickled pink to see all the improvements. So all the kids even noticed, which I think is really cool.
Thank you. Any questions?
I do. I'm excited. I'm so excited for, right? The food I'm so happy to hear that because we've needed a food overhaul for years. And so I'm super excited about that and all the changes. I literally have taken my mom around, like driven through, I've taken my husband and driven through the front of the school just to show like.
You're a tour guide.
And I love it.
And every day it's something new.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It just looks like it's a manicured place where champions live and it's amazing and I'm so happy about it. And about the water bottles, I'm actually really glad that we're leasing because I think the stuff changes all the time and so we'll all be, yeah.
And we have like a 3 and a 5-year lease option.
Yeah.
So I think that's with the issue we had with the ones at SOC and them, not working after a while, I think that the lease option is probably a better option. We can then upgrade.
I'm really happy to see that. So what, are you guys just gonna fill in those existing? What are you planning to do with
We're
what's
gonna
there?
see whether there'll be an enclosure and put them in the same area. That's such a good area because it's close to the back blacktop at SOC. And then it also is right where the hatch is. So we have a lot of plumbing, electrical, drainage, all that right there. So I like the location of that. We just need to see what's gonna actually work.
Yeah, and there's already water and electricity going
it's all
there,
there.
so.
So they have something that they've always had currently. They're not losing anything during this transition.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I had I'm big, again, amazing job. Thank you and to all the staff. I mean, I know I've seen them working.
Everybody.
I've seen them working. It's a great job and looks like our middle school chancellor apparently can assemble, build. So
We saved
we have a job
one
for it.
particular thing just for him to build, because no one else wants to build it. It's so awful to build, and he just loves building them, so we saved him. There you go.
But one of the things that, again, I would say the same comment as I had for Dr. Henry, communicate. I think the fact that you did it before university orientation is fantastic because you're going to have parents on campus. But again, leverage the chancellors to send some more specific. I mean, like I personally received complaints about our campuses, and now we've fixed most of it. And I think it's if even if half the kids are like my son, they will only complain if, like my son can say, well, the ball is no longer here. And I said, no, they can fix it. But then they don't tell us all the great things that they see. At least apparently your daughters did, but my son is like, so I think it'd be great for the parents to know from us. So whatever the best way it is to share some pictures about the infrastructure upgrades you're doing. And then, if you can, if you don't mind, there was one parent who specifically was concerned about the water situation, especially if you can at some point give an update to that parent. Because it felt like that was it felt like an important topic that they wanted to bring up, and you're being very responsive to it. So a quick email, either in a broader communication or to that individual would be good.
And I'll be relying and asking the chancellor.
What are we going to do? But great job. I mean, I think your staff is I mean, I think they do things that is probably not in their job description, so we appreciate all of that.
That's right. Everybody really rallied this summer, so I'm very proud of everybody. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, we'll go to item E, enrollment comparisons. Dr. Clement?
So I just wanted to kind of, as the school year's starting right now, I just wanted to give everyone just kind of a recap or a little better understanding of where our enrollment is, as well as in comparison to some of our surrounding districts, Orange County, California as a whole. Because there are a lot of things happening with enrollment. I'm sure everyone's seen on the news that California as a whole is people are leaving, people are aging out, people are having less kids. You know, it's an expensive place to live here in South Orange County. And if you have a lot of young kids, a lot of people can't afford to live here. So attendance really has been severely declining in California for the past 5 years. And if you look, I think there's an extra zero in my second. It should be 110,000, not 1.1 million, but 110,000 students, or enrollment has dropped by about 110,000 in California, just between the last 2 years. So by about 1.8%. So that's a huge number when you're looking across the entire state. And that declining in enrollment in Orange County is even more exacerbated than it is statewide. So, and there's a lot of factors. Like I said, there's an overall decline in the state's population, low birth rates, people moving to other states. And then there's been a really slow rebound in enrollment in public schools after that huge decline when we had COVID. So, so when the schools first went out to independent study during COVID or virtual learning during COVID, there was a huge decline in enrollment. And we're having kind of, or the state's having kind of a hard time rebounding from that and gaining students back. So if you look at this, and actually the title, really, the next slide is more about what this means for OPA. But if you look kind of statewide, in that, you'll see that almost all grade levels are declining. And even if they're not declining, they're well below the projected number. So even if you look at kindergarten, which isn't declining, it was projected to increase by a little more than 7%, and it didn't even increase by 2%. So, so even in areas where we're not actually declining in enrollment in the state, we are actually, you know, it's much less than projected. So if you look at Orange County enrollment over the years from 1920 and 2021, you'll see OC districts lost about 45,000 students, which is almost 10%. That's an enormous decrease in students just between 1920 and 2021. OC charter schools did increase a little bit. It was limited to just certain charter schools though. A lot of charter schools that increased the number of grade levels that they have account for most of that increase. And then if you look at OC overall, again, it's about a 7%, I mean, almost a 10% decrease. But then if you look at OPA, we actually had a 7% increase in those 2 years in our enrollment. So
yeah.
Yeah. So if you look also, hard to present in this room. If you look at even the Orange County charters, more of them decreased than increased. And if you kind of take some comparisons there were only 5 charter schools in Orange County that were not adding grade levels that increased, and 2 of those were OPA schools. So we are doing much better comparatively in our enrollment than our surrounding districts and schools.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Is that also including our virtual programs?
That does include
Okay,
all
so
of the
that's,
virtual
okay,
programs.
so
yeah.
that's also a reason that we have a big uptick.
We have an uptick, yeah, there, but just our general enrollment in our schools has been steady or increasing.
Okay.
Even through COVID, we increased during that time. So then if you look at kind of across the board with some of our specific surrounding districts and charter schools, you will see that all districts and charter schools in South Orange County have decreasing enrollment. And so if you look at Saddleback Valley, they're about a 10% loss. Capo is about 11% loss. IUSD hasn't lost as many, but they're still declining. And then Laguna Beach is 10%. So most of our directly surrounding districts took about a 10% loss in enrollment. Then if you look at some of our surrounding charter schools, OPA lost about 31% of their enrollment, Journey 13%, and Community Roots about 3.1. So these are even comparison to our surrounding charter schools that are in South Orange County. And then you can see OPA SV and SOC where we fell in about an 8% increase at SOC and a 5% increase in SV. So South Orange County definitely took kind of the biggest hit in the district or in the county in terms of that declining enrollment. So if you look at our current wait list, this is even after we've enrolled all of our students, we still have a wait list of about 634 at SOC and 695 at SV. Our applications this year were up at almost 2,000. And then you can see our current enrollment as of today, when I ran the numbers, was 1523. And then you can see our enrollment by grade level. And like Carrie said, you can see it's very top heavy with 5th through 8th grade definitely having the biggest numbers of students. So we do have those bubbles going through our middle school program, and we're retaining our middle school students like never before. When I got here, I think SV had an 8th grade class of 15. And now we have an 8th grade class of 65, and SOC has an 8th grade class of 97. So huge.
Not retaining, as in keeping them back at grade level.
No, we're not retaining them, but
We're keeping them enrolled.
Yes, you guys know what I meant.
I just want to know on the record, retention rate, your retention.
Yeah, we're not failing them to keep them in middle school.
Yeah. We're gonna have student parking.
Yeah, 16, 17-year-olds. No, it has nothing to do with that. All the kids should be in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. So I just, again, wanted to give just a little bit of, as school is starting now and we're starting to see our enrollment, just kind of an update of where we are in terms of our surrounding districts. And we want to make sure that we keep that number strong. And so we're working on some different marketing and advertising. Stephanie wants to make a Hulu commercial, so that's going to be fun. I do. Lying, she does want to make a commercial to put on Hulu. So we're advertising through niche, and we do OC parenting. So we're really trying to build that excitement around our campuses, and keep that excitement going, and then into hopefully the excitement for the new middle school. So any questions?
I have two. Speaking of retention, I would love to see our retention numbers. Like, obviously there's always going to be kids that move and whatnot, it's a school choice, but really what is our retention numbers now, and what is our goals for retaining our students?
Yeah, we can definitely provide that, and our retention, like I said, has gotten
Better
year over year, and now we're retaining, most of our students are coming back each year, so we're having to fill, most of the people who come off of the waiting list are coming off in TK and kindergarten. There's very little, sadly, for our families that are on the waiting list. It is a unless you have a sibling or something like that, it is tough to get in, especially, first through sixth grade. It is tough to get into those classes, but we can definitely send you that information.
Definitely. And then my other question is, you showed kind of the district stuff and the charters. What about homeschooling? Where's that factoring into this?
See, it's hard because that's where most of those students are leaving, it seems like, and going, but they don't really have a
Report out.
Because they don't report to CalPADS or anything like that. So between the private schools and homeschooling, it's hard to get those kind of hard numbers because there isn't really a database that has those numbers. But the kids are going somewhere. 10% isn't leaving Orange County. So a lot of them are going to other homeschool or kind of the bigger, more national virtual programs, like Connections Academy and things, K-12 and things like that.
Interesting. Thank you.
I think another way to think about it is as long as we have a wait list, our enrollment's not going to go down, right? Because we assume we have a healthy wait list. It might be interesting to see how our wait list numbers are evolving over the years. If the wait list numbers are reducing, then you can kind of say it's a proxy that overall, but I suspect that our wait list numbers don't.
They're remaining pretty steady. 4 years ago, we had not much of a wait list for a year or two. And that was when we had our middle school numbers of, 8 or 12. But over the last 3 years, we've always been about 1,500 to 2,000 on the wait list. So we're kind of holding steady right around that area, hopefully with the new middle school and adding that third school, if we're able to, that will generate some more interest in the middle school and bring up our middle school wait list numbers.
Excellent.
Who's the keeper of those numbers? Like, is there a, kind of a person who would say year over year, this is what I'm looking for some, kind of indices that say, hey, this is what our SV and SOC waitlist numbers are year over year. This is what our honor society budgets are year over year, just to get an idea of little metrics, right, that help us see what's parent involvement like. What is,
Exactly.
what does that wait list look like, kind of thing. By year, like wait list for 8th grade students versus, first grade students.
We do have a lot of that information with our LCAP data, that parent involvement piece, enrollment, things like that are all part of our LCAP data. All of our lottery stuff is held. We have a program that we store all of the lottery information in ever since we started using the program the year after I got here. Before that, it was done with the big wheel.
So the cage.
Yes, I love that. Those are the days. It took hours. I know. It was exciting. I love the kids that got it.
Now it's not nearly as exciting. We record me pushing the button. It takes like 2 seconds, but
There was a lot of excitement around that pushing the button this year. It was really.
we actually had a ton of people on the.
Do we keep track of parents' volunteer hours as well, like as a metric of parent engagement? And I'm just saying, just to give us like just to give us a little bit of in the totality, we look at this, we can say, man, how are parents involved at that point versus this point, or just volunteer hours, or does that exist anywhere? Is there a check-in, check-out kind of deal?
The last 2 years have been difficult with that. I mean, COVID and so I feel like we are starting fresh, but the metric has always been part of the LCAP of parent involvement, whether it's gauged through the parent surveys. So it's perception data where we measure their involvement that way. But if we can there are some check-in systems that I think we're looking at where
As
when
part of the
parents
security
come,
system.
it's called the Raptor system. And when parents come, they check in and they can accumulate hours. Since we don't have that yet, one of the components of the parent ambassador program is to have a tracking system for parent hours so that we can see the hours accumulated and the different activities so that they can become parent ambassadors.
What I think I hear you saying is now we've had a period of years where we've had some stability for those of us who've been around for a while. And we have this opportunity, unique opportunity now to kind of go back and see what we've accomplished and also learn from the data. How we can
Track things.
Did you see how delicate you said that? For those of us that have been around for more than a minute or two.
But we're all,
There's few.
a lot of us will.
Well, I think. It's really, it's very real. Yes. One after is, I remember a time when it felt like, from at the family level, there was an expectation,
Yes.
you know, that Denelli. And then when I say expectation, I mean, it was pretty much an expectation, like,
It was,
hey,
you signed the thing that said you were gonna just.
do 20 hours,
Yeah.
20 hours a year or something. And I'm not saying it's an expectation, like, you know, we're gonna look at you, make you park far away or.
Can't make anyone sign anything that says they're going to do a specific number of hours.
So,
Yeah, but you can actually have it be like a volunteer
Well, we can
commitment
make a
statement. There's a
volunteer-
way you can do it and you can have them sign volunteer.
sign it or don't sign it, but the idea was that you showed up and you were committed. And I
Yes.
remember, you know, it's like, hey, here's the list of what we need, reams of paper, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it was like, here's the list. And you're kind of you know, you see how it's getting eaten through over time. And then, you know, me and you say, all right, let's clear this list out and just be done with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if there's any way for us to get back to that level of passion where it really is at the family level, you know, we're gonna be there. We're gonna, it's important whether, you know, I would read, because reading counts, so sit there and read about that or talk about my job or, you know, do all kinds of fun things like that, which I gave, I think, the classroom some additional dimensions, which was really great. And embarrassed for kids too, you know,
Yeah.
like, can you volunteer at another class? Yeah.
And that's, I think, some of the different things that we're looking at with our different parent involvement policies and programs that we're trying to implement this year is to build that excitement and incentivize parents to volunteer more and make sure that parents know all of the different ways that they can volunteer and the different ways that we need parents to volunteer to just try to build up our number of volunteers and build up that excitement of parents to come back on campus and volunteer.
Good, and some tracking to that. So
Yeah.
that future boards can say, can look at all these data points and be able to say, oh man, we're doing a great job, or it looks like we're falling off here, why is that?
Things like a health metric, yeah.
We,
Like a barometer, right? So.
Yeah, I think it's,
Exactly.
the fact that our enrollment is not going down is actually not a surprise because we have a wait list, right? But the question is the wait list going down? In which case then if you extrapolate indefinitely, then we're gonna start getting decreasing
Yeah.
enrollment. So that's the type of data I think we're looking for, right?
Because part of that is, you say, well, I have 600 people on my wait list, which is awesome, unless 564 of them are TK.
right.
Yeah.
And that's not good,
Correct.
because they're gonna find a place to go, and when they do, they're off your wait list forever. So there's some additional drill-in data that would be helpful to know too.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, as a.
It's a great eighth grade capstone project. Evaluate the health of the.
That's a great pair of volunteer.
Maybe a board.
Strategy guy, Western Digital. Rock.
Give me the data and I'll do it. You know?
Yeah, seriously. I got your pie charts.
Yeah. Anything else?
I just asked for another metric to look at, what's contributing to the wait list. So we can track that as well. What's working? Is it external conditions? Is it things we're doing? Because where we have control, we want to like ramp that up.
Yeah,
right.
And we did add as part of our, as for the upcoming school year, as part of our enrollment piece, we're adding a section on, you know, kind of how did you hear about OPA that we can use then to determine what types of marketing is working better for us versus others. Because if something really isn't getting us any kids, then there's no reason to spend money on it. Like we're putting an article in the OC Business Journal and it gets us 0 kids and it costs us $2,000. Then why are we wasting our money on that? So to really kind of drill down to what types of marketing is working better for our organization.
I'm looking forward to seeing Dr. Henry in Hulu.
Yes.
Why is she here? I thought I paid for no ads. in Hulu.
I want to but, we met with like a strategy committee, well, and that, does help. They're called, they specialize in enrollment and helping for different areas, so. A lot of great ideas came out. My head was spinning with all of the great ideas that, we could entertain for moving forward with the middle school branding, for our virtual learning program, for our current seat-based program, so. Yeah, a lot of great ideas.
And she's gonna interrupt all my movies now.
Anything else? Okay. Let's bring it on with the fiscal report from Ms. Palomino.
Ms. Palomino could not be here tonight, so I am going to take the fiscal report. It's pretty brief. It's
Yep.
mostly about the unaudited actuals, which we went over in the finance committee with member Kagil and member Agarwal. So basically each year we have to report our unaudited actuals to our authorizers and to the Orange County Department of Ed. It goes up to CDE before we get our audit, because we don't get our audit, usually our audit results until the first of the year. So if you look at SV's unaudited actuals, we do have a very healthy operating income, or we did last year have a very healthy operating income of about $469,000. It was actually 5,000 higher than previously forecasted. And so that is because we did get some increases in some of our supplemental funding that was coming in from the state, some extra ESSER money and other things that the state approved, that the funding that we were projecting actually went up. We did spend a little bit more at SV on books and supplies than we had budgeted. Most of that had to do with the televisions that we bought for SV, so that was not a expense that we had projected right off the bat when we did our budget, but we decided that SV really needed to have those TVs. Our projectors were going out, and so the board graciously approved us to get TVs for SOC. And then there was some increases in some of our services and operating expenditures. But again, it balanced out so that we were able to have an operating income again that was very similar to what we forecasted. SOC also has a very healthy operating income. SOC actually was $57,000 higher than we had forecasted, again, due to some increases in the amount of supplemental funding that we received from what was projected at the beginning of the year. A little bit more than projected in books and supplies. We did order some additional supplemental curriculum for our intervention program at both of our school sites. So that was ordered at the end of the year, well, kind of in the spring, to really add to our intervention program. And then a little bit of increase in our services and operating expenses. But again, it was very similar to what was previously projected. And then again, a little bit higher than forecasted. Now it's not working. It was working now. So this slide goes over more specifically the actuals for the revenue and expenses. So you can see our LCFF, that's basically our state funding that makes up most of the funding that we get, our federal revenue. Other state reserves, that's where a lot of that supplemental funding goes into. And so it was much higher than, because of all of the additional funding that schools have gotten through ESSER and some of the COVID relief funding. It's much higher than it has been in the past. And actually, again, we got more revenue than than we were expecting to get. And then you can see some of the donations and fundraising there. And then going through our expenses, our different salaries, benefits, books and supplies. And then, as you can see, our net income between both of our sites was about $1.3 million. So the balance sheet here, you can see it should be balanced, and it is. Rosa does a really good job with all of our financials. But you can see basically that, our assets and our liabilities are balanced out, and then how much we spent through last year. But there's not ringing. So that's really the presentation. We are excited that our budgeting last year was for our first year of really kind of taking that on without the help of our back office provider. Our budgeting came out to be very close to what our actuals were in all areas, even with some of the differences in the amounts of funding that we were getting. And then in some added expenses that we had just due to coming back on campus and trying to really build up a lot of the things that we were doing on campus to improve the experiences for our students. So, but Rosa has been doing an amazing job taking over without having that back office provider. We did our entire budget now for this year, and have, between her and Denelli, if there's like 1 cent off, they will catch it. One of the two of them will, if not both of them.
You have to always be trashing.
That's what I joke. I'm like, Denelli might want a different role on the board, but too bad. So any questions about that?
For the sake of the rest of, when you look at the two campus financials, typically 45-55 split, and most of it was 45-55, except for a couple of areas where with the staff, we could explain it. Just in case you guys are like, as you're reviewing it, like, do you want to think about it that way? So seems reasonable. So.
Usually we do try anything that comes kind of out of the general fund that isn't restricted to one campus or the other for shared expenses. We'll split it 45-55 because the general fund is based off of our ADA, and our ADA between the two sites is about 45-55. But like Director Hagu was saying, sometimes, we will have something that we're just doing at SV, like the televisions, that'll be 100% SV, or it'll be a different split because we only sent 100 Chromebooks to SOC, but we sent 200 to SV. And so then we always try to base, because we have the two different budgets, two different school sites, and the sites get funded independently, unlike a district where we get one pot of money and then we shuffle it out between the schools. We actually get funded entirely separately between the two sites. And then for shared things, that's why we take that split, but everything basically is funded off of exactly what the schools are using that money for.
Any other comments or questions? Because you're going to be voting on it after this. So
I'm not going to do another presentation.
Okay.
I'm done.
So that brings us to the end of items for presentation. I want to give a shout out to Jonathan in the back. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. We're not running around trying to figure out Zoom. You got it. So thank you. Please continue to do it. I'm sure you're going to invest in a better clicker next time, but other than that,
Or another battery.
We replaced them right before we started at work.
No, but thank you. I really appreciate it. I think it's very important that we have somebody like that who can kind of, I think we didn't miss a beat today. So thank you. Okay, we got item number 9, items for action. My favorite thing, approve board policy 6158, independent study. All California public schools are required to update their independent study board policies annually. This revision incorporates new legislation in regard to independent study post-pandemic, amending some of the legislation adopted over the past 2 years. Part of LCAP goal or action item 1.1, No impact on funding, no impact, no funding source, but no impact on financials. It is recommended the board of directors approve action item A. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve action item A.
Thank you, Member Travis. A second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion, any questions from the board on this?
I do. I have a question. Why, just wanted to get your thought process around removing number 10, which was about being able to come back in.
That was legislation. So there was legislation that sunsetted after 2022. So it was a last school year legislation that really provided, because of COVID and the pandemic, the guarantee that families could switch back and forth from either independent study or virtual learning program that we have to seat-based at any time during the school year within 5 days of a request. So I will say last year, we had many families in and out several times. It was hard for some students to slide back and forth, especially in the middle of a grading period. And that legislation has sunsetted, so that's why it was removed from the policy.
Thank you. That was great.
Anything else? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Member Agarwal?
Aye.
Member Jackson? Aye. Member Kudu? Aye. Member Smith?
Aye.
And Member Travis?
Aye.
Okay. Action item B, approve unaudited actuals, OPA, SV, and OPA SOC. Education Code Section 42-100B requires that each charter school shall approve in a format prescribed by the Superintendent of Public Instruction an annual statement of all receipts and expenditures of the charter school for the preceding fiscal year and shall file the statement with the entity that approved the charter school. It's LCAP goal or action 3.11. No funding source, no impact on financials, or you've heard the presentations. Recommended that the board of directors approve action item B. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve item B.
Thank you, Member Smith. Second? Second, Member Travis, thank you. Any further questions or discussion?
I have some questions. I'm just kidding.
You were lost, Georgie.
Not really.
No, you right into it.
Member Agarwal? No, roll call vote. No, unanimous vote. Member Agarwal?
Aye.
Member Jackson? Aye. Member Kudu is aye. Member Smith? And Member Travis?
Aye.
Okay, got your approval. Now, action item C, approve contract with SA Landscape for OPA SOC. OPA is entering into a contract with SA Landscape to provide regular monthly maintenance for OPA South Orange County campus. LCAP goal action 3.6. The funding source will come from the general fund. The financial impact is $1,600 per month, $19,200 annual. I presume that's already in the budget. So it's recommended the board of directors approve action item C. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion.
Thank you, Member Agarwal, and thank you, Member Jackson. Any questions about this?
To Member Kudu's point, I would love for it, I appreciate that you guys have the financial impact now, but I'd love for it to say that something like if this is budgeted.
Okay.
Because I think that's really what we're trying to get at, is we want to know that this is either a planned budgeted item and I like the cost here, but it's nice to know that this is on track for budget.
Yeah.
So when we see the overview of where it's off, it's not a surprise for us.
Right. But this is contemplated in the budget already.
Yes.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, so then we'll do a roll call vote. Member Agarwal?
Aye.
Member Jackson? Aye. Member Kudu is aye. Member Smith?
Aye.
And Member Travis?
Aye.
Okay, we'll do the same thing for SV. Approve contract with SA Landscape for OPA Saddleback Valley. OPA is entering into contract with SA Landscape to provide regular monthly maintenance for OPA Saddleback Valley. We're going to make that change. LCAP goal action item 3.6, the funding source general fund, financial impact $2,475 per month or $29,700 annual. It is recommended that the board of directors approve action item D. Could we have a motion as amended?
I move to approve D with the amendment.
Thank you, Member Smith.
One second.
Thank you, Member Agarwal. Any comments about this? Okay, roll call vote then, member Agarwal?
Aye.
Member Jackson?
Aye.
Member Kadu? Aye. Member Smith?
Aye.
And member Travis?
Aye.
Thank you. Last action item E, approve revision to the 2022-2023 classified salary schedule. The 2022-23 OPA salary schedule is being revised to add the technology coordinator position. Just to recap, we approved the salary schedule last month, and now we're adding one line item to it. Everything else remains the same, I presume. LCAP goal or action item 2.1. Funding source from the general fund. Financial impact will be $9,792 at step one. So an increase, I suppose, from what was budgeted already.
Yes.
It is recommended that the board of directors approve action item E. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve action item.
Thank you, Member Jackson. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Member Travis. Any questions or discussion on this?
Can we just get further clarification on the financial impact that's listed?
So it's above what so right now, this person is a tech specialist. And so this would be the financial impact of moving him to the coordinator position.
An incremental annual expense, I think.
Yes.
So I think to member Travis's point earlier, maybe just a little bit more clarification, because I didn't know how to interpret that just by what it said. So that would help. But thank you.
I think the impact could be higher depending on which step they are in.
Yeah,
Right
so-
now, we're starting off with a $10,000 impact. I think is what it is.
Yeah.
So I think what member Smith is trying to say is like, we have so much budgeted for salary. So is this gonna take us over our budgeted amount for salary? That's the question, I think. Well, at least that
The
I have.
answer is yes.
Yes.
It's gonna go up by 10,000.
It'll be $10,000 more than we had budgeted.
Okay,
Over
Annually.
for the
Not
annual.
monthly,
Yeah,
but for the annual.
Yeah.
Again, I thought, is this monthly? Is it? So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
So, yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Member Agarwal?
Aye.
Member Jackson?
Aye.
Member Kadu, aye. Member Smith?
Aye.
And Member Travis?
aye.
Okay, 9:07, we finished our action items. We go to item number 10, Executive Director Report.
All right, so I just want to thank our sites and our staff and everyone, David, for all of his crazy upgrades, but just everybody, everybody for an amazing opening of school. We were all at both of the campuses, and the parents were excited, the kids were excited, the teachers were excited. Like Carrie said, it was the most parents I have ever seen at our Meet Your Professor events. I was looking at the teacher checkoff sheets for who had come, and it was like almost their entire class. Even middle school, there was like a line of middle school families around the building over at SOC. So it was just a great event, and it's really exciting to be able to, to see everybody back on campus. And being able to enjoy all of the great things that are going on campus, the upgrades to new classrooms. I know Denelli and I talk all the time about every day. It's literally something new that's showing up on one of our campuses as an improvement. So it's just really exciting to see. Both weeks of WOW, our students and our staff went off incredibly well. The furniture, it was funny because David got all of those chairs, and they came with tables, but
For free.
they could not stay in Honor Hall, or we wouldn't have been able to fit children in Honor Hall. Assemblies and things. So everybody got to take a chair with them when they left the staff trading back to their classroom, or we took some back to the media center at SOC. So it was a little funny watching everyone rolling their rolly chairs through the parking lot into their cars to take back over to SOC there. The chairs were super, super comfortable. They just could not fit in SB's Honor Hall for forever. So it was like our parting gift. I felt like Oprah, you get a golden black chair, you get a golden black chair. So it was just, it's been an amazing start to the school year, and we're just excited to keep it going and keep improving, and then hopefully looking forward to the middle school next year, so that John can stop building furniture for SV and start building furniture for his own school. So I'm sure he'll be excited about that. I know that we had our public hearing at the Orange County Board of Education for the middle school last week. And we had Betsy Freiler, who spoke about the new middle school, and Chancellor Velez and Director Kagu, and then Stephanie and John presented with me about the school. And so we're just excited to share everything that is happening. One thing that we did get some feedback from the community about our contract with Restorative Equity Partnership. And because, we always try to take parent feedback. We want everyone to be comfortable with what is going on in our classrooms. We still have to make sure that we're following all of the mandated requirements and the state standards. But again, we always want to take feedback. And so I met with you guys, board members, and we decided that we are not going to implement the Restorative Equity Partners contract, and we have contacted them. So we won't be utilizing them to provide training to our teachers in the restorative circles. So, again, we always are looking for the best possible experiences for our teachers, for our students, for the best possible professional development. But again, we want to make sure that we're taking everybody's input into account. And so thank you guys for working with me on that and getting that taken care of. So again, it's going to be an amazing school year. I'm super, super, super excited. It's Adam's second day back. Just kidding. No,
Third.
It's been an amazing week. And we're just super excited to get things going and really just have an incredible school year this year. And I hope we can get as many parent volunteers as possible to help us with making the year as great as possible. So please come to Dr. Henry and the Chancellor's parent involvement meetings and get yourselves cleared to come and participate on campus. It really is painless. You just have to give your fingerprints and get a TB test. So I encourage everybody to do that. And that's all I have.
Any questions or comments from the board about the executive director file? Okay, we'll move to item number 11. Thank you, Dr. Kanan. Item number 11, Director's Report. Director Jackson, do you want to kick us off?
All right. Well, I think I just want to say that this institution never ceases to amaze me how wonderful and flexible everybody is, from COVID and all the wildness there, and this school renovation project, and everybody shows up. And David, I'm glad you didn't produce a photo of your Prius with 37 umbrellas, because Toyota will terminate your warranty on them. But it's really wonderful to see the power of a community. I love it. Can't say enough about it. It's just lovely. And I'm very proud of everybody. So thank you. Thanks for everybody at every level really participates, and your presence is felt, and you make a difference. And I love it. I love it. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Smith.
Yeah, I guess I'll piggyback and say I have to get dirty and sweaty at the beautification day at SLC. And I really appreciate that opportunity. And I got to dig some holes with some 6-year-olds. Super efficient and I appreciated the company. So I just know the level of involvement it takes to coordinate such an event, and so I really appreciate staff and everyone that came together, parents who contributed time and brought families and supplies. It was a great event. I love that we do those kind of things. And then I want to also do the special shout out to Honor Society. hearing over and over how much you all are pulling together and really supporting both campuses is very much appreciated. And so, yeah, thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Regina. Mr. Travis?
How do I top that? I think the biggest thing is, I think as the school year gets started, I think it's really exciting to see all the energy. And I can't wait to see kind of how the whole year unfolds for both of our campuses and our middle school. So I'm just really excited to kind of see this year kind of take off, and just thank you to everybody for your passion, your dedication to make it happen. And it's exciting to really see how far we've come, especially with what was done this summer. It just gives everybody that energy to, you know, give that much more and do that much more for the organization. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Travis. And I also say the same thing. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the new folks, new people in the role, new people in the organization. Good luck, and let us know what we can do to help.
So I just wanted to thank the community, our parents, our staff. I think, you know, this is the thing that makes OPA great, and I think we're really feeling it and seeing it. And I am super proud to be part of this organization, as you all know, and just getting to spend time with new parents that we haven't seen before and bringing those people in. I love seeing the OPA traditions. You guys know how much I love a good OPA tradition. So it's like, and the food, and I'm super excited. I haven't been this excited since probably I got accepted into OPA years ago about what the future holds and what it could look like for all of us and for our parents and our kids, especially what the memories that they're going to make with all of these awesome things that we're doing. It makes all the hard times worth it. So thank you all, because I know it's not always easy. And David, you're doing an amazing job making this all happen. So kudos to you. Thank you.
And there's a success metric right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, we'll go into item number 12, community input on non-agendized items. Public may comment on items not listed on the agenda that are within the legal purview of the Board of Directors. Public comments, including email comments, will be limited to 3 minutes per comment, with up to 20 minutes of public comment. Ms. Laura, are there any public comments on non-agendized items?
Yes, we have 3 today. We have 1 to start via Zoom. The second one will be in person, and the third I will read. We will start with the first one. Is Jennifer Mcwilliams present via Zoom?
You can just unmute if you're able to.
Somebody invites me or something.
Jennifer, can you please unmute yourself?
Oh my gosh, great.
You can't enter.
Okay, Jennifer, you're unmuted.
Can't hear us,
Yeah, I
because we're
can-
muted. We need to unmute us.
Jennifer, sorry, we can't hear you at all. Sorry about that.
It shows unmuted. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, I hope you can hear me. I am a member of AEI's Conservative Education Reform Network and have written for the American Mind and Center for Renewing America. Most recently, I helped with a landmark Tennessee lawsuit that argues SEL is in violation of the state's critical race theory ban. I also have a degree in education. I travel the country as a parental rights advocate who specializes in the dangers of social emotional learning and restorative justice in education. I've spent the last 3 years extensively researching the implementation of critical race practices, and I'm speaking on behalf of members of your community who are extremely concerned with the pending teacher training from the Restorative Equity Partnership. I listened to the points that were presented in defense of using these services, and the statements were very uninformed and misleading, so I will clear them up for you. Restorative circles are used to create a critical consciousness, a term coined by Paulo Freire, a Marxist revolutionist, whose methods of critical pedagogy are the foundation of the REP training. The purpose of these circles is to engage students in conversations around systemic privilege and oppression, to purposefully imply behaviors are not a consequence of individual choices, but instead behaviors are a consequence of systemic racism. This is a thought reform practice being used as a political weapon in education to train activists. This is completely unethical. The argument that these practices decrease disciplinary incidences is wholly deceitful. These practices leave students who are interrupting and creating chaos in the classroom instead of providing those students with needed disciplinary action. This provides the false narrative that behavior incidences are decreased when the truth is that they are just not reported as often under restorative practices. The unstable environment this creates and the additional stress it adds to teachers was one of the top reasons teachers gave for leaving the profession in a recent report. Restorative justice practices like restorative circles are the implementation of critical race theory in the classroom to psychologically manipulate students into adopting the viewpoint of a critical race theorist. Your job is to do what is best for the children, which should be to focus on academic excellence and not political activism. For the innocent children you took an oath to protect, do not use any services from the Restorative Equity Partnership. If you do, this will not be the last of me. I will educate your entire community on restorative circles and how they are used to teach critical race theory, not as a theory, but as a truth. I urge you to make the right choice and protect the children. Thank you.
He is in person, Mr. Jagger, if you want to come up to the front. Please.
Is this the agreement that got,
Yes.
pulled back? Okay.
You can come up right here.
And your 3 minutes starts now.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Following up regarding the REP contract, first of all, let's make sure definitions are clear. Learning circles is about decentralizing learning process by allowing students to work in groups. I'm not against if kids learn math or US Constitution in groups. Restorative circles is all about discipline and reducing suspensions. I do not understand why OPA should seek this kind of training, since it's often mentioned as an alternative to school to jail pipeline. It would at least look justified only if suspensions in OPA are skyrocketed. I'm against when kids are asked to talk about their emotional and mental condition, gender identity, biases, and privileges. It's like anonymous alcoholics talk to each other about their addictions. If you care about kids' emotional well-being, just send them to field trips instead of all of this. I'm still waiting for answers from Patricia Lukaroth about quotes from other providers, what criteria she used to choose RP over other competitors. I hope her work email works and she doesn't not run her own email server like Hillary Clinton. I'm very curious why OPA is paying 8 times more than the market rate to the company who is less than 2 years in business. And I refuse to understand why training providers should do any data collection. Cell providers often use third-party software to administer online surveys. Even if survey is taken anonymously, the data collected by the software operator can be pseudonymous. It means that identity can still be determined later using special trackers such as browser cookies and AI algorithms. The most prominent developer of online surveys, Panorama Education, is under AG's investigation in Missouri for privacy violation. I'm very concerned about this data collection activity scheduled for the next month in September as defined in Exhibit A of the contract. I have not seen any public announcement from OPA explaining what kind of data will be collected by RP and asking parents' consent. I have all reasons to believe that the privacy of my son, Michael Yagodin, will be violated. Therefore, I'm serving you a cease and desist letter.
Thank you. And I think for those of you who attended the board meeting, we are withdrawing the contract as we announced earlier. So just as a, encourage you guys to listen to the board meeting and hear our decisions out there. Can we talk about the third comment, please?
Yeah, so I will read it.
I think Ms. Larson's actually on the Zoom, if she would like to speak or have it read.
Hi, yes, I'm here. And my message is no longer needed because you guys listen to us, and thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm a mom who's been at OPA since 2011, since it started. My 4 kids are all spread out. So one went all the way through and now he's a senior at El Toro. And I have one in college and I have a 2nd grader still, which is crazy, and a 6th grader. So we are a longtime OPA family. We have stuck through it thick and thin. I'm loyal. And I'm so thankful that you listened about this contract. That gives me hope. And thank you so much for all you do. We appreciate it.
We are withdrawing the contract, right? And so, I just want, again, let's not get personal when we make public comments, right? I mean, staff are here to work hard and let's be polite, because students are also watching. So I'd encourage you guys to be more thoughtful about what public comments you make, okay? Are there any other comments or feedback from the board? Okay, we'll move to item number 13, adjournment. It is recommended that the board adjourn the regular meeting of the Oxford Preparatory Academy Board of Directors on August 25th, 2022. May I have a motion?
I make a motion.
May I have a second? Okay, any discussion? Roll call vote, Member Agarwal?
Aye.
Member Jackson?
Aye.
Member Kagos, aye. Member Smith?
Aye.
And Member Travis?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 9:29 p.m.